guess when we think about community now, we can look back in the last 10 and 15 years and say things have dramatically changed in the way culture is. There's been huge shifts in how we relate and build relationships and form community in our current culture. People are involved in all sorts of things now. There's lots of movement, people live in different places, work in different places, their family and where they grew up will be yet another place. And one of the commentators describes this as communities become very fragmented. We live in lots of different locations in our daily lives. In addition to that, there's been this massive rise in social media. So we're always connected, whether that's through Facebook or Instagram or Snapchat, and we're constantly able to see what other people are doing. And we can see some of the highlights of their life. That often means we compare it with our own life and think, well, maybe my life isn't as good as other people's. And there's this constant pressure of being aware of all sorts of things, almost being bombarded. But in the midst of that, something has shifted. And when you listen to those that are working with young people and working with our current culture, this fragmentation of life, this demands and drive of social media has actually led people to feel quite isolated. There's a massive increase in loneliness. There's an increase in depression and anxiety, and we have huge mental health issues. So while culture is really exciting, there's a whole lot of negative things that have been drawn in because of that. So what do we do about that? Well, that's a challenge, and that's part of the reason why we're looking at Trinity Centre, to look at how we can grow and develop a sense of belonging in the culture that we find ourselves in. When I read through the pages of the Bible, I see something very interesting. It seems that God is a God of community. When He rose and chose and created human beings, it says it's not good for man to be alone. We were made for relationship. When God wanted to demonstrate His plan and love for the world, He raised up a people. It was precisely that. He raised up a community to form relationships and to show the love of God in that place. And then fast forward into the New Testament, and Jesus came. He came, but immediately when He began His ministry, He formed community. He chose 12 disciples and then 72. It was always in the process of forming and building relationships. And we see that throughout the Bible. And when we discover and read through the New Testament a little bit more, we realise that one of the calls for us as a church is to be a community that's welcoming, to offer hospitality and to entertain strangers. It's one of the key characteristics actually of church and of leadership. We need to ensure that we are a welcoming and hospitable community. And therefore, one of the challenges that we're looking to address with Trinity Centre, and one of the cultural needs that we're seeking to address, is to develop a space that can be a community cafe. A location where people can form relationships, where people can be welcomed, where people can become included and loved and find a place of belonging in a society that's become increasingly fragmented. And so for me, this is an exciting thing. We're looking at how culture is changing and saying, how as a Christian community can we offer belonging? How can we enable relationships to be fostered? And how can we be a true community of God that's offering the hospitality, that's holding out welcome and a place of belonging for those who live around us in Hazelmere and further afield?